Celebrating 30 years of phenomenal trend forecasting. Here's Gerald Celente with today's trends in the news.
Hi, this is Gerald Celente. It's Friday, November 8th, 2019, and here are some of today's trends in the news. On the market front over there in Asia, it was mixed. Over there in Europe, it was down. Here in the States, bleep. But gold, woof, down. Bitcoin, down. Oil, up a little bit. S&P 500 inches higher to another record close, capping fifth straight weekly gain as the Fed keeps injecting all that monetary methadone into the addicted bull. Major stocks average rose on Friday, and a spokesman for the Chinese Commerce Ministry said, of course, the reason the stocks are going up, we're going to do a trade deal over there and cancel those existing tariffs. Trump says maybe yes, maybe no, and that's what kept the market a little low. And the reality is, sentiment was also boosted this week by corporate earning results that have generally beaten expectations. And they're up so far, 74% of them have beaten estimates. So, the whole thing moving the markets ostensibly the trade talks. I don't believe it, but that's what it is. On the gold front, it's a 3-month low. Its biggest weekly drop in 3 years, 3 plus 3. And here's what we're saying. The dollar's getting stronger. You're looking at a lot of money coming into the equity markets from around the world. The dollar's strong. The United States economy is doing better than the rest. Not that it's doing so great. So, on gold, you know my forecast. Right now we're looking at it, it's, about 1458. If it goes below 1450, the next hit's 1390, and I believe 1390 is the bottom. And we got to see what happens with the other central banksters around the world lowering rates. Word now that they're going to lower in the UK. So again, those other currencies get weaker, the dollar gets stronger. The stronger dollar goes, the weaker gold goes. But gold's been holding up pretty well against the dollar. And oil ended the week a little higher. And if this Chinese trade agreement was really real, oil prices would be skyrocketing because they'd be using a lot more energy. So I don't see it happening much at all. And then that OPEC gang's going to meet in December again and the other affiliates to see whether or not they're going to hold back production. And in the United States, they're cutting back down on those oil rigs. That's right. 684 rigs now is the count, the lowest since April 2017, because there's more supply than demand. And as I was mentioning, foreign cash adds strength to U.S. stocks. Foreign private holders of U.S. stocks hit a record of $7.7 trillion as of July. You look at the chart, it's a straight line up. You're seeing a real divergence between growth prospects in the U.S. equity markets and the rest of the world, said one of the analysts. So, that's where we're at. The United States is doing better than the rest. The markets are overvalued. It's about a 26 PE ratio when in 16.8 is the proper one on average. Wall Street reduces quarterly forecast for U.S. corporate earnings. You ready for this? This is out of the Financial Times. You don't get this out of the U.S. media. To just 0.8%. With nearly 4/5 of America's largest companies having reported their third quarter figures and updated investors on the outlook, earnings are forecast to rise just 0.8% in the final 3 months of the year. That is down from a forecast of 4.1% of the start of October, according to Refinitiv, and a far cry from the 7.2% expected as recently as July. So the markets are being artificially propped up. How long can it go? Who knows? Because they keep making up new stuff. because there's a global slowdown. Don't believe me? How about them Germans? Could you believe them? Drop in German production adds to recession fears. Heading for the first recession in Germany now in 6 years. One of the analysts said the decline in industrial production in September confirms the German manufacturers are still firmly in recession. Industrial production in Germany has now fallen 4.3% in the 12 months to September. I mentioned before about the UK, slowing economy, and Brexit, stage right, boosts chance of UK rate. It has nothing to do with Brexit. Brexit's been going on for years. It's a global slowdown because Eurozone growth set to fall to lowest since 2014. Keep pumping up those equity markets. Can't you see what a sham this is? It's just the rich getting richer with the Federal Reserve and the New York Fed pumping in. What are they pumping in? $120 billion into the repo markets every day so the gamblers could play. Because that's where all the dough is going, folks. There are now 2,101 billionaires globally, up almost 40% from 5 years ago. Wonder why there's these protests going on all over the world. Hey, yeah, just give the money to the rich. They're the only ones that deserve it. This is something. Over the same 5-year period, their combined wealth grew by more than a third, 34.5%. While our wages, median household income in the United States, is at 1999 levels. Hey, you want to know one of those top trends we had? Yeah, take a look at it. Here it is. Driverless cliff. We said this whole driverless car thing is not going to work the way they're saying it is. Yes, there's going to be driverless from point A to point B, but the driverless scene's not going to happen. And it announced today, Alphabet's self-driving car project, Waymo, is shuttering its Austin operations. Waymo, way no more. Because Waymo has just been downgraded by 40% in valuation by JP Morgan, or Morgan Stanley rather. So we don't see this happening, along with the electric cars, more hype than reality. Interesting. I mentioned this talking about driverless cars. Drive for new leadership looks within Israel for peace. And they have this story about what's going on there. They still don't have a government. But they go on and saying some of the problems of the people of Israel on how to address other problems, including teeming hospitals, overcrowded classrooms, and gridlocked highways. Gridlocked highways. You'd think we could have a better system of moving people around than this antiquated big car deal. It's the 21st century, and we have gridlock all over the place. We need a new system. China's stuttering stimulus weighs on global growth. Another story from the Financial Times. The Chinese are afraid to keep pumping more dough in there because it will lower the value of their yuan, and they have massive debt in dollars. So the weaker their currency goes, the more debt that they have to pay off, and they have $40 trillion in total debt in China, a debt to GDP ratio of over 300. And ready for this? China homeowners fear cooling market. Officials have tightened lending rules. Yep, in an effort to stabilize prices. They can't keep pumping money into the system. The fiscal policy isn't doing enough. The only thing that's going to have to drive it up is monetary policy, and again, they're afraid of doing it. But staying on the home front, in the USSA, as three people, Buffett, Gates, and Bezos have more dough than half of us, the workers of Slavelandia. Young homebuyers are vanishing from the United States. The median age of all buyers hit a fresh record of 47 years old, increasing for the third straight year and well above the median age of 31 back in 1981 when they first started doing these surveys. And as buyers' ages have increased, so have their incomes. The typical income of purchasers rose to $93,200 in 2018. That's the income, right? You know what the income now? Median household income in America? Around $60,000. And don't forget all that debt, the college debt. Oh yeah, that debt, the credit card debt. And now you got the mortgage debt, and a lot of people can't take on that debt. And they took out a poll about the economy and how Americans feel about it since Trump got elected. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say they are not better off financially than when Donald Trump was elected, casting doubt on whether economic expansion and a record bull market will boost the U.S. president's re-election bid. Well, his re-election bid, considering who he's running from, it's still a good bid as we see it in terms of him beating either Warren or Bernie Sanders, if those are the two front runners, and even Biden. But the reality is, going back to what I said, and again, you could go back to the Tax Policy Center, and they showed that Trump's tax cuts only enriched the top 80% plus in the United States. African swine fever sparks global meat shortage. The price of pork has risen 170% in China. And also chicken is going up because they're going into that. I'm mentioning that because in the United States, metal contamination concerns prompt huge recall of chicken, some 2 million pounds. In January, Tyson's 36,000 pounds they recalled. In March, another 69,000 pounds. A year ago, according to the Centers for Disease Prevention and Control, because of around Thanksgiving time, that lettuce wasn't so good. 32 people across 11 states got sick with E. coli. I'm mentioning this because of big agriculture. And the stuff that we're eating, particularly when you go out to eat, you don't know where it came from. And this is all that's being reported. The swine flu is big. And it's beyond China. It's even sweeping through parts of Europe now. So as big ag gets bigger, quality will get lower, and so too will the health of we the people. Warehouse sales boom as online shopping grows. And you see these big private equity groups and hedge funds buying up all these warehouses everywhere. Warehouses are emerging as New York City's hottest property type. That's right, went from manufacturing to making stuff, now getting it made over there in a slave labor country, bringing it back, marking up the prices, and now you're not working in manufacturing, you're just warehousing now, and pretty soon robots are going to take your job too. The rest of New York City's real estate market has cooled. Warehouse sales during the first 9 months of the year reached almost $1.7 billion. Over there in Bolivia, we've been writing about it in detail in your Trends Journal. It is now a weekly magazine. There is no other magazine like it in the world. If you could find it, send it to me, Gerald Celente at trendsresearch.com. Nothing like it. We've been covering what's going on with all these protests, all these riots going on around the world, and of course, Bolivia, one of them. The United States is supporting the guy that lost, as they do, because they don't like the guy that's in there, Morales, just like they did over there in Venezuela. But what happened yesterday was protesters kidnapped the mayor of this small city, a woman. They cut her hair, they dumped red paint on her. It was Terrible what they did to her. They had her marched her through the streets barefooted. Could you imagine if this was done to somebody that the United States liked and it was a woman? There would be outrage. But it's blackout. There's hardly anything reported about it at all because they don't like that guy Morales and they want him out of there. Now here's what the woman said, even as they were tying her up and cutting her hair. "I'm not going to shut up," she said. "And if they want to kill me, may they kill me. For this process of change, I will give my life." That's some woman. Because me, I don't want to die for a cause just because. So now, the United States, illegally in Syria, illegally, could anybody spell that? And all those Democrats and all those quiche-eating grin and balsamic smile liberals we got over here in Woodstock, just 15 minutes away from us in Kingston, we abandoned them coids. But now it's okay because the United States is seizing their Syrian oil fields. And Trump even said it. He said that he wanted Exxon in there, maybe. He said, "Take the oil." And here's the response that the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, said to the comments coming from the United States about taking these oil fields. Previous U.S. presidents commit crimes but get Nobel Prizes. Of course, he's talking about the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, Barack the Murderer Obama. Quote, "I'm really good at killing people, like that Libyan war. I want that guy Gaddafi out of there. I don't care who you kill. I want that guy Assad out of there. I don't care who you kill. I'm a Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner. And I got Hillary Clinton, Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Slimy Sarkozy, and little no cojones Cameron behind me over there in the UK, and the other cat in France." Anyway, he goes on to say, "Get Nobel Prizes and act like defenders of human rights and the Nobel unique U.S. values or Western values. But they are a group of criminals who act on behalf of lobbies." Trump, on the other hand, declares, "We want oil." At least that's honest, Assad added. Criminals, capisce? The United States is a criminal organization invading these foreign nations that have done nothing to us and no threat, and save your crap that you're melting ISIS's here and there. Save it. You're causing more people to hate you by destroying their nations, killing everybody that they love, and leaving no future for them. So if a foreign country came over here and destroyed the joint, would you want to get even with them? Oh, yeah, they'd be militants, we'd be, if we were attacking the people that attacked us, and we'd be terrorists by the propaganda prostitutes. U.S. to build 2 more bases in Syrian oil region. Isn't that great? Where are all you slimy little liberals? Where are all you Democrats? Occupy peace is the only way out of this. Without peace, there's no joy, there's no beauty, there's no liberty, there's no love. There's just more of this sick crap by sick individuals that are destroying life on the planet. Speaking of sick individuals, Medicare for all, system won't pass, says Clinton. Yeah, the New York Times, the toilet paper record, hired her to do a gig yesterday. Here's how they call Hillary Clinton. Here's how they define her. A longtime leader of her party's moderate wing. Oh, yeah, you remember that video, right? That when she's doing the interview on CBS, and they ask her how she felt when Gaddafi was murdered. We came, we saw, he died. That's the moderate wing of the Democratic Party. A murderous wing of wing nuts, out of their minds, sick people, Republicans and Democrats. It's the USSA. And then, finally, heart failure deaths increase. The death rate from chronic debilitating condition rose 20.7% between 2011 and 2017. This is in the United States. And you know why? Goes back to swine flu, goes back to recalls of all that chicken and lettuce and other stuff, because people are eating crap, garbage. And until people get healthy, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, this thing keeps going down. But it's going to go back up when we occupy peace, because when you're in peace, you're in better health. This is Gerald Celente, and that's some of today's trends in the news.